morning, everybody. Good morning, Darcy.
Good morning, Jemima.
Welcome to Awaken Positive Power. Once again, Darcy, Marta, and myself, Jemima Godsall, are talking depression, mental illness, and suicide prevention, just the awareness of it all. Just trying to normalize this conversation, guys, around these topics. I think it's necessary in this crazy world we live in, and just to know that you're not alone, and that life can change in an instant, and that's okay to feel like out of control in a way. But we're here to hopefully, create a safe space for you to feel that it is okay to feel whatever you're feeling, and just to honor it and to move through it. And Darcy Marta, my beautiful Darcy, she's so wonderful. Hello.
Hello, my beautiful friend Jemima. She's so wonderful. And we have our disclaimer down below, which is...
Thank you. Disclaimer down below. Please read. Very important. We are coming to you from a place like a friendship. So make sure you know that. This is not professional in terms of counselling or anything like that. So make sure if you have any quandaries, queries, or concerns, please reach 1-800-SUICIDE number. It's so important you do that. Even if you're not quite sure, it's always best to call if you know of someone, or know yourself if you need some help, reach out. Okay, Darcy. I'm kind of handing it over to Darcy again this week because I'm a little out of whack because of my life circumstances. Literally turned around in like 24 hours. So Darcy's been helping me a lot through this. So it's kind of also beautiful. We talk about being authentic here. We can kind of use my distress as an authentic, like this is pure live chaos going on right now. So it's how to deal with it. Yeah. How do we deal with this challenging turn of events? So Darcy's last week was amazing. She took us through an incredible meditation at the end, which is really something that I'll always look back to. And my friend did it with me, who was helping me out, and she just was mind blown away. And she's been promoting it, by the way, Darcy, a lot. Like really, really did hit home to a lot of us, especially considering the circumstances. But aside from that, we're talking about how do we cope in times of trauma. So, and today, Darcy's got a good one. We're going to be talking about. I'll hand it over to you.
Self-love.
Oh my God! What? Ah! Self-love. Yeah. Sorry, guys. This is what we're talking about. We've got to laugh.
Gotta laugh through it.
Gotta laugh through it. Okay. Disclaimer down below, guys. Disclaimer. Okay.
A lot of people talk about self-love is a big topic right now, and that's great, because it's not something that I was ever brought up with as a topic. Quite the contrary. I was taught not to be conceited and don't brag, and let's not talk about yourself, and so I mean, to a point where I didn't even have my parents ever say anything great about the stuff that I was doing. So, and if we would say, hey, look at this or whatever, we were generally met with, don't be conceited, And so for me to learn self-love took a really long time, and I'm still working on it. I'm practicing it. Go.
Don't you think that's such a shame, Das, that most of us are taught, I don't know, maybe it's a generation thing as well.
Yes.
I know my generation, you and I are quite close in generation, where it is a negative. It's a negative. No, it's really, it's a negative to be self-loving. It's like seen, as you said, conceited, or I don't know. And it's such a shame, because that's where it all begins. Like, to not be able to support yourself when you're in a depression or something is the most terrifying feeling. And we've got to, I just feel like we've got to change the way of the world, us. You and I got to change the way of the world, because this is crazy. I mean, I'm learning with my newfound awareness of how critical and how dangerous and damaging the criticism is.
Yeah.
That when I don't want it, and especially now that I'm aware of it, I can go, oh, no, hang on, what, shush. But it's amazing how that's just innate. Like it's like it was born there, which it wasn't. I mean, we have to grow into it, but it's just, it's shocking, Das. It's shocking. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, because you are a person who definitely deserves self-love. Like, you are profoundly beautiful. So,
oh, you're very sweet.
No, it's not. It's just a fact. But Sorry, that was really impressive.
What is that?
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Yes.
No, you know what? It's true though. You know, little kids absorb information. When we're little kids, our brain is growing like, you know, rates per second. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you all the technical stuff. I know it, but I can't give you the technicalities of the brain development. Your brain is developing between the time you're born until you're about 25. It's growing. Yes, it's growing. So it's a big deal. So teenagers, you know, and then, you know, there's plateaus at different times. There's plateaus. When the baby is born, the brain is absorbing so much information. It's so powerful, absorbing all this information. And then when it sleeps, the brain trims itself of information it does not need.
Right.
Trims itself. It keeps the information it does need. Otherwise, we'd be on overload, right? So you absorb information, then your brain trims, absorb and trims. And then there's certain stages where you plateau a little bit. And then, so teenagers are in a growth spurt. That's why they need so much sleep. Teenagers need so much sleep because their brain is really growing and their hormones are kicking in. And then we have all these social pressures. And so there's a lot of schools now that are starting later because they're realizing how important it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That to force a kid to get up at 6 after studying all night is really detrimental to their brain development. Okay. So, and that's why social media is really difficult for kids because they stay up all night. And, you know, this can lead to depression, not getting enough sleep, and then all the pressures and like I said, the hormones and you know, we discount how influential hormones are on the brain development and the body and self-image. Anyway, so understanding that the brain is absorbing all this information and little kids are like sponges, the information we give a child is huge because that information the child may decide, the brain may decide to keep as important information and store. So for a lot of people about self-love, being taught to be, you know, those old sayings we used to have, children should be seen and not heard, silence is the golden rule, don't be conceited, you're bragging, those kinds of things, they get stored and that can really stop the flow of self-appreciation, which can stop the flow of creativity and learning how to learn. And, you know, there's so much that it can stop. The great thing is there's some wonderful new techniques to work with children these days that wasn't around when I was a kid. And one of those techniques is nurtured heart approach, which I really like with children that I do at a school where I teach sometimes. And we get a child to recognize their greatness. So, for example, with the little kids, I'll say, it's time to pick up. And they say, I don't want to. And I say, I understand. I don't want to either. But when we do it, that shows our greatness. Right?
That's
So
awesome. I pick it up straight away.
Right? God. And so the kids are like, hey, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Yeah. I get it. Let's just put it away. They pick it up. And instead of me going, just do it, put it away, it's yours, you know, you say, I get it. I don't want to pick it up either. But when we pick up our room, shows our greatness, shows we care about our room, we care about our friends, and we care about our toys. I'll just wait until you're ready.
Oh, that's so awesome.
You sit there and you wait, and then they pick it up. I'm like, wow, look at you picking it up. You're amazing. That's showing your greatness. You really show you care. I'm so proud of you. Can you pick that up? Is that really heavy? Wow, you're strong too. Look at you. Amazing. You're an amazing person. And out they go to play. Good for you. You really showed your greatness. So it does actually get in there. So a little boy's mom told us that he was in the car with his uncle and he had to get going right away and he didn't want to, but he did. And he got in the car and his uncle goes, hey, we got it. We did this or we did that. And he goes, yep, showing my greatness.
Oh, bless. That's so awesome. What a great thing to say. Like, instead of, yeah.
I'm a fabulous person, right?
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Showing
Why hasn't that been around since everyone's been born? Like, that just should be the way we are. Imagine the world. Well, it's going to be from now on, but imagine the world like if we had all that as our internal dialogue, then the world would be such a different place.
Right. So when I was first learning this technique, I practiced on my teenage son. I didn't understand a lot of this whole thing. And so I was going, come on, we're late for school. You know, when you're late, when you're late, you make me late. And I got to get here and I got to go to work. And then when I'm late, somebody else is late. So you got to get your butt. It's like, I might as well just pulled all of his teeth. It would have been easier, right? So I started doing this nurtured heart technique, and he'd be running down the stairs with his shoes in his hand. And I used to get mad about that. Like, just put your shoes on, right? And I'd say, oh, good. I'm so glad you're carrying your shoes to save us that extra minute. That's really thoughtful. And he'd look at me like, are you okay?
Mom, you're acting weird today.
And we get in the car and I'm like, hey, we're 2 minutes ahead today. That's great. I appreciate your efforts.
That's awesome.
And then and he goes, wow, are you all right? And so I stopped yelling at him to get us going. And instead I started finding just one little thing that we did right. You know, hey, I really appreciate, and when one morning he was on time, I'm like, wow, I really appreciate the fact that you made the effort to get us out the door on time today. That really shows your greatness. I am so amazed. He's like, what's happened to you?
But I mean, for him to even notice then the extreme difference, different. Oh, yeah. Like, it shouldn't be that extreme, you know, like, it's just nice work, Darcy,
I started telling him, I said, I was wrong. I said, I really needed to see the effort that you're making so I could support it. And I said, and you know what? It supported me. Now I feel calmer and we have a more pleasant drive in the morning. Yeah. And it was so helpful. And so I use it for a lot of different things. So speaking of self-love, now we have to turn that on ourselves.
Yeah. It's
right.
I think it's the biggest challenge for every human.
Right.
And I mean, and if even Mother Teresa would probably say that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Right? Sure. Why not? That's one of the things I was also going to talk about is, how to get out of depression. I always think of other people and how to take care of them. But there's also that moment where you go, okay, if I was a friend who came to me with my big feelings, if I'm having big feelings today or difficulties or I'm beating myself up inside, if I was a friend or a client of mine who came to me with this, like this, what would I say to me? What would I do for me in that respect? What would I say? What would I do? And that to me is a bit of also self-love. So if I can turn myself into my own client and say, hey, maybe you need a nap. Maybe you need to do your own, restorative hypnosis for you. Maybe this is a day where you need to go take a not a power walk, but a beauty walk and look at the world beautifully. See what you can see out. Yeah. See what you can see outside that's beautiful today. Or what can you see different? And if your big feelings are really overwhelming, maybe you could say, okay, I feel these, and this is what makes me human. So I can choose to feel them. I'm not going to let them control me or overwhelm me. I'm just going to let myself feel it without trying to push it away all the time,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This week, one of my biggest troubles has been feeling out depressed because of the situation I've found myself in.
Yeah.
Then also feeling frustrated because I'm aware of some really good things happened for me through this, but I wasn't able to. I found myself more frustrated because I wasn't able to really indulge in the goodness of what had come from the tragedy. I know that's a process, but I was kind of being aware of it. I felt like it was an even double whammy because I was aware that I wasn't able to be happy over what was good, and so that was frustrating. Then the self-love had gone, like it was already gone, and then on top of it, I'm trying to say, stop being angry at yourself for feeling depressed, or for not being able to celebrate the good stuff that's come. It's all part of the process, but it was like a double whammy of self-inflicted, once again, misdirected, I don't know, anxiety and tension, all that stuff. But it's just that self-love was impossible to find. So what say you to that?
Right. Well, I mean, you had some great things happen, right? You had some amazing, wonderful things happen in the midst of your turmoil and chaos and difficulty, right?
Yep,
So
sure.
I think that sometimes what happens, society says, well, you don't deserve to be happy right now because you've got all these terrible things going on, or we feel guilty that we don't allow ourselves to feel happy about the wonderful things because we've got all the garbage happening. And so what I'd like to propose is, can you allow yourself to feel both things at the same time? Can you make a shrine or a picture or a symbol and put it there and say, here's a symbol of the wonderful thing, or make a list. Here's the wonderful things that happened. My support from my friends, my acquisition of my vehicle, my the possibilities that showed up for my future, my new ideas, my freedom, etc. Right? You make a list of those wonderful things and you say, here's all the wonderful things, and I am so grateful. I'm going to post those wonderful things and write a big thank you at the bottom. So I have my list. I'm going to put it there and maybe put, a beautiful crystal in front of it, or, or a little something special in front of it, or a flower or a shell or a piece of fruit, something that symbolizes your sense of gratefulness, and just let it be there. And then you can go over to the difficulties and the chaos and say, okay, I'm frustrated, and write down, what are you frustrated with? I'm angry. What are you angry with? I'm sad. What are you sad with? And all of those things are valid. And say, I validate my feelings about those things. Okay. And then you go back and you say, frustration and anger are due energy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's the fuel that allows us to keep going and not be complacent. Okay, so thank goodness I'm frustrated and angry, because I'm going to get some things accomplished. Okay, I'm frustrated because I have so much red tape to go through. All this red tape to go through, red tape. Okay, what's the first thing I can work on? This. What's the next thing? Yeah, but I can't do that because of XYZ. Okay, just write it down. We'll take care of it. What's the next thing? This. I can only do half of that. I'm frustrated. Okay, let's do half. Okay, I'm angry about XYZ. What's the first thing we can take care of? I can't take care of any of it. Okay, make you angry? Great. We'll figure out a way to take care of it. We're going to set it there, and we're going to allow those solutions to come to us when they do. They may not come to us today, but taking care of our frustration first. So, you know what I mean? Kind of allow yourself to go bit by bit. And then the sadness, that's what makes us compassionate. Without our sadness, we're not compassionate. So you say, I'm sad today. I own it. I feel sad. Okay, You're allowed to be sad. Give yourself allowance to be sad. You don't have to push it down, suppress it, push it away. So much of our life is, I'm okay, I can keep going. That's me. I'm okay, I can keep going. I'm okay, I can keep going. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I forgot. I got some really big feelings I've been shoving down here, which is what depression is. Depress, depressed, depressed. So all I'm saying is just put it in front of you and then honor it and begin to work through it and say, wow, I'm sad today. Can I sit with that feeling and meditate with it?
I think it comes down to the fact that that's what you were saying last week. Practice, practice, practice. Just practicing, no matter how skilled you may be at something, you're never skilled enough, and that you need to practice constantly and honor and not see it like work. It's like it is motivation for bettering oneself. You know, to because I think that when you think like practice or work or something like that, it has an energy sometimes when you're feeling so lackluster and lackless or whatever.
Lackluster, yeah, energyless.
It's so, yeah, exactly. That have none of it. That it's like hard to even get a pen and paper and write, but it's worth like it is that first step will even inspire you even more to take that pen, because it is. I know how hard it is, guys. How hard and difficult it is to shift when you're stuck, when you feel like everything's just chaotic. But if you can just practice for the benefit of yourself, you know, just try and think that this is going to help me, even though it's painful and struggle to begin with. That was going to help me to maybe shift the first little step to shift out of that possible sink down into depression or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and call a friend.
Yeah.
A lot of times I need to call people and say, I have not been honoring my circumstance, myself. You know, I have not been doing my work for me.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, after this last week, this is the first time I've really reached out to somebody, to people, and it has been people. Been hugely, hugely terrifying and confronting. But guys, oh my God, the wealth of support that has been around me is just profound. It's like so incredibly gifted and so humbling. And so so many wonderful emotions attached to it. I mean, just any good emotion you could have, but it's like, wow, I thought, I've got goosebumps. Like asking for help is such a challenge. I get that. But really, if you are low and down and out, people are there wanting to help you pretty much. I found that people just want to help. And if they can't help, they're pretty much okay to say, I can't help you right now. And that's so beautiful, because you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I'm going to be a burden on someone. I still do that. I still burden because it's a new thing to ask for help, but I know that's my issue. Like it's actually quite insulting to the people who are helping to have that burden, because it's that they want to help. So, you know, try and also remember that too, like to not go, oh, I feel so bad, stuff. Just shut up, get on with it. They won't help if they can't. Honestly, I feel that people have been honest enough, especially this where we're at in our world and our relationships. And I wouldn't really reach out to people who couldn't help anyway, who wouldn't be able to tell me honestly if they could help or not, I should say. And they have been able to be honest, and that's beautiful. And that that actually has strengthened our relationship more so, I think, than anything, you know, like just to know that I can ask for help, but I can also respect the honesty in return, you know.
Yeah. It's big. It's really hard for me to ask for help.
It's huge, 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 huge.
Huge for me to ask for help is really big. And, you know, and I had such a difficult year last year, so hard in 2020. Oh, craziness. So the good thing is that my personal practice got stronger. That's the great thing. And then I had to reach out to people I felt that could help me. Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry, guys, authentic. I know we all tried to ignore it, but we couldn't. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but that's really hard. It's really hard. And when you're going through so much to say, who am I going to call? You know, a lot of times I think it's really good to start before you need it. You know, I'm all about taking sick days before you're sick. Do you know what I'm saying? Right.
I do like that.
Yeah. You take a stress day before you're really stressed. Don't wait till you're really stressed to take the stress day. because then it's really hard to utilize. But when I first moved to New York City and I was temping and I was trying to get used to the city is so electric, right? It's an island surrounded by water with electricity flowing. I mean, I was just like, what?
Yep.
Energetically. And literally, I would call in sick sometimes and stay in the apartment where I was staying and take Epsom salt baths and drink chamomile tea and play music and do ceremony and decompress.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to do it. And then I'd come back to work and people go, are you okay? I'm like, great.
Really good. How
But,
about you?
Yeah. But if I had just kept powering through, I probably really would have gotten sick, And so I'm all for understanding I've got some big challenges coming up in the next couple months. So who can I call now as I begin to face those challenges and begin to set myself up? And the flip side of that, can I offer anything? Can I offer anything? When you offer something, it really empowers you. That's why I said, make your list of all those things that you're grateful for that have happened good. You gotta have that empowerment before you go into the muck. Whenever, people a lot of times talk about writing letters to the universe, tell the universe what you really want, really get it clear, that whole metaphysical idea of the universe can't support you until you really know what you want. Once you really know what you want, the universe will conspire to help you find what you need. And I say, yes. I also like to start with my thank you letter to the universe first, make it completely separate. Thank you for my health, even if I'm sick. Thank you for my ability to move through my difficulties. Thank you for my friends. And what if you don't have friends? Thank you for my neighborhood. Thank you for the fact that I have a roof over my head. What if you don't have a roof over my head? Well, thank you for my abilities to take care of myself, even without a roof over my head. There's always something to be grateful for, right? It's always something to be grateful for. Start with your thank yous and then go into your frustration, anger, sadness, or your difficulties one at a time. Do everything one at a time. That's the other part of being overwhelmed is we try to do everything at once. I got to go here, do this, fix that.
I find that's with the mind of someone who has suffered from depression, is that when it's all you can see is the too much. There's too many things that you just shut down. Like
sure.
It's hard. So that's why, as you're saying, one thing at a time, like one little thing. Even what you said, I think was beautifully inspiring too, is like when you said, what the list that you that you hate. What can we change about this? I can't change any of it right now, and that's okay. That's okay. And or I can change half of it. Well, let's do the half that you can, because you don't have to do the whole thing. But then the person who's in the midst of the chaos can sometimes there's no way, there's no start or stop. It's just all is whirling around, and you don't have to do that whole thing. If you can do half, awesome. Like that's a step in the right direction. Just seeing everything collapsing, you feel like it's collapsing, or the emotions, and the emotions get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really hard to make your way out of that sort of vicious cycle. But I think that first step to anything, is
and how this goes back to self-love is when you do one little thing for yourself, that is an example to you of self-love. Are you eating right today? Did you choose not to have a basket of cookies? Good for you. That's showing self-love. Whatever you're ice cream.
Yeah.
I choose not to have ice cream. Maybe I'll have it on Sunday. If it's really that important to me, okay, I'll have it on one day, as opposed to 5 days or whatever. So are you eating right? Are you fueling your body? Food is an example of self-love. Rest is an example of self-love. Exercise is an example of self-love, right? We kind of just do these things automatically without understanding that they have a larger importance. But if we can say, yeah, um, I'm eating right. I gave myself an extra hour of sleep. That's an example of self-love, right? I decided to go for a walk today by myself, with myself. That's an example of self-love. I decided to reach out to a friend today. That's an example of self-love, right? So when we talk about self-love, it doesn't have to be some big ceremony thing or it's some big, um, practice that you've gotten out of a book. It's recognizing yourself in your life and all the small things that are so important, right? Eating right, maybe saying hi to the person at Target when you're buying something. That's also an expression of self-love. Being willing to spread that cheer. Hi, how you doing? That's an expression of self-love, that you're willing to share that essence of yourself. So those are small examples of self-love. Then you get into taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, right? Grooming it, feeding it. That's obvious self-love, right? But all those little things are also self-love.
Yeah, and those little things are the best ones to start with, because even self-love, physical care, like take care of your body and eating and stuff, that can be confronting sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you tiny little step in the right direction in terms of that hello to someone in the store, and even if they may not be receiving it as positively as you hoped, but you may have changed their whole day. You don't know, but I guess just taking that first step to,
I I was working 7 days a week at one point. I was just like working literally 7 days a week, getting up at 5, taking the dogs at 5:30, getting all dressed up, going to work, going to my other job, working 7 days. And so I would try to time things. If I take the train at this time and get off at this stop, then I can stop at that coffee place and get a cup of coffee, carry it and get to work on time. I always like timing stuff. And I guess I looked really freaking tired because I got up to the counter and I said, I really want a decaf latte. That's my go-to. I like a medium-sized decaf latte. I think I was probably at Starbucks. And the girl goes, okay. And she gets to me and she hands it to me, right? Or she goes, okay, a decaf latte. She goes, okay. And I said, how much is that? And she goes, it's yours. I'm like, what? She goes, you can have that today. That's yours.
Oh, bless.
Like, what? She goes, I'm giving you a coffee today. I'm like,
that's so
are you like amazing human being? I mean, wow, really? She goes, yeah, I want to give you a coffee today. I'm like, wow, that's like so nice. It was like so shocking. It was so shocking to have somebody just say, here, have this coffee. I said, I'm so touched. I'm like, really? I'm like, is there like a contest? She goes, no, really, this is just your contest. So I'm like, I'm going to carry this with me for, a month. But I haven't. I've carried the story with me for years, right? So that idea right there of just being awake and aware of your surroundings, I was forgetting self-love. I was working so hard. And that just, bam, snapped me right into myself. So, when we do things like that for others, that's an example of self-love. She had a lot of self-love to be so aware of others that she could give a little bit, and it meant so much.
Yeah, definitely.
So incredible.
What great timing.
Yeah. She just was really good at reading people, So, so there's I have a lot of body positive image issues, right? People talk about body positive. I'm really so impressed with people who are out there putting themselves out there and saying, I love myself and this is who I am, regardless of what any media industry might say, or and that's so helpful, because all that self-criticism is what makes it really hard to find our way back to self-love. And so if you're out there listening to us and you're like, well, yeah, but I'm overweight, or I'm too skinny, or I'm old, or I'm whatever I'm judging myself for, I just want to say, tell yourself that you find a thing, one little tiny thing that you are grateful for about yourself, right? So you might have stretch marks or wrinkles, but is there one little thing that you are grateful for in yourself? Right? Are you grateful for the fact that you're alive, or that you're here in this moment, or that you're doing a good job at work, or maybe you're looking for new work, or you have a consciousness to go looking on the internet for self-help? That's great. You're looking on the internet, you're saying, where can I look for self-help about my depression? Right? There's one little thing. Good for you. That's an example of self-love. You're in the right direction. That's a step in the right direction. Right? Right.
Sure.
So Jemima, you're stepping in the right direction.
Thank you.
So am I. I'm stepping in the right direction. Every day, I try to take a step forward, and things come up that,
Yeah.
Right.
Life is a crazy roller coaster.
It is.
And I mean, yeah, just the idea is, I guess, the journey, not the location that you get to, not the extent. What is it? It's the journey, not the
End result. Yeah. Let's just leave it at it's the journey.
It's the journey, people. It's the journey.
Right.
Life.
I mean, because we limit ourselves by saying, I want to go there. Well, I want to go there in that way at that time, etc. And sometimes you might miss some things along the way, right? You might just miss some things along the way, which is not to say that you can't have a 5-year plan. There's a lot to be said for planning. Planning is really important. So you can plan your self-love.
Yeah, true.
A little bit today, a little bit more tomorrow, a little bit the next day, a little bit more the next, just a little bit the next day, a little bit more, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. So I'd really like to.
Hey, Darcy, you doing a meditation for us today? Sorry, because we're coming to soon. Yeah, you're like, yes, one step ahead.
Well, I was going to pull a card.
Oh, yeah.
So again, it's the same person that made the animal cards, right? There's the medicine cards. Here's the sacred path cards. Dun, 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 dun. Jamie Sams, is that backwards? Jamie Sams. SAMS. I love the sacred path cards. I use them a lot, especially when I'm feeling directionless or overwhelmed, or I'm not seeing my potential clearly, if I'm feeling that I just can't do it alone, and I want a little guidance to say, well, what could really help me move through this difficult time? So let's ask for Jemima, because she's on a real physical journey as well as an internal. Well, we're all on physical journeys, but her external landscape is amplifying her internal landscape.
Yes, it sure is. Yes.
A
little bit of chaos in my life right now. Within 24 hours, my life shifted. So it's that was like last week, and now it's been a week of challenges. Lots of good things, but lots of harsh things to go along with it. But so that's why Darcy's honing in on me right now. This is why it's a live example of how we survive, guys. Woo! Okay, okay. Sacred space, you freaking killing me? My God. Okay, and you know what my life path number is? 4. 44.
44. Very interesting. I'm the fourth child.
Oh, really?
And I was born on the 31st, which is number 4.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
so 4 for you, 4 for me.
Yeah.
Sacred space.
That's insane.
Isn't that fun?
Beautiful
Okay.
card.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what sacred space has to tell us today. We'll listen to this. So that's number
44. Hello.
Brain. Where did my brain?
We're all on our physical journey.
Do they have my brain in this book? Maybe. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, I think it's over here somewhere.
Hey, you know what's really interesting about this is last week when we read the hummingbird,
Yes.
right? We read the hummingbird. That was the last card in the medicine cards book. The last card in the medicine. So, isn't that funny? And today we peeled Sacred Space. It's the last card in this book as well.
Are you kidding me?
Interesting.
What the heck? There's no such thing
what
as
it means. But I like it.
That's amazing. Amazing. Angels and guides are so with us right now. Like, it's insane how blessed I feel right now. You should too, guys. Always with us.
So creating sacred space, you know, and Jemima's really all about her living space was uprooted, and so to find sacred space is really important for you at this time. I mean, it's important for all of us all the time. So, you know, always starts with a little poem at the beginning of the book, of the section, right? The lesson. So this is, it says, "Great mystery, teach me to honor the laws of sacred space, the customs and traditions of every creed and race. Great mystery, teach me to develop the talents that I own and to behave with reverence in another's home. Great mystery, teach the child in me to accept with grace the part of sacred mystery found in every space." Just love that.
Beautiful.
The idea of sacred space has been one of the foundations of Native American philosophy throughout time. We see all life forms as having their own medicine wheel or life cycles. Each life form, from a stone person to a cloud person to a standing person, has a space that deserves respect. Every creature being has its own territory and respects the territory of the other animals. Two-leggeds also have a personal space that, if respected, becomes sacred space. Nature teaches us how to know ourselves in the purest way possible. If we listen and watch, every lesson of human living is given by the animals. The changes in the wind, Father Sky, Mother Earth, and all our relations. Each aspect of our world has its own space in which to create. Each aspect of our world has its own space in which to create. If that space is respected by others, growth continues in harmony. For instance, in the forest, each standing person is naturally seeded by the wind, right? The trees are seeded by the wind, right? Many trees grow close together until one among them becomes stronger and needs more room. The others will naturally respect the space of the one who has the best chance of maturing and seeding others of its kind. The weakest ones sometimes uproot and use their bodies for fertilizer for the strong one. When these standing people were smaller, they served each other as protection and later served the whole tree tribe by allowing the stronger one to survive. This is an act of selfless love. The spirit of every standing person who contributed to the survival of the strong one is still alive in the forest, even though the trunk, branches, and roots may have changed form. The decay of the body and service has allowed the standing person's spirit to grow and evolve. So the important thing here, the message here is about change, Jemima. And that symbolism of allowing things to change so that your strength as you move forward can be supported through that change, right? The evolution. Other creature beings also respect sacred space by marking the area of their territory with their urine. They will not cross another animal's border unless they are looking for food when it's scarce. If food is plentiful, even two-leggeds can mark a campsite with urine and have the marked area respected. There is no reason for an animal to invade another space unless that creature being is hunted or physically attacked. So, sacred space, really important for you to understand. And that's also very important for us to understand in terms of self-love, is our body, this sacred space, being honored. Not just the house that we're in or the vehicle, but is our body honored, or is that being invaded? In humankind, sacred space extends to our habitat, belongings, and feelings as well as our bodies. Two-leggeds may feel invaded if our car or home is broken into. We certainly feel invaded if violence is done to our bodies, but we don't need to feel mauled if someone else has a different belief or a different idea. Right? You have a different idea, you live next door to me, that's fine. If another person states her point of view and our internal knowing says, this idea does not feel like it fits into my personal knowing, there is never any need to defend that your personal right to be or their way of thinking. It's their way of thinking. It's just a beautiful understanding of sacred space. It's a really deep idea. The concept of sacred space is more than a belief in the Native American way of thinking. From the earliest life lessons, Indian children were taught to listen and respect the words of others, especially their elders. Right? These children are taught the value of their possessions, and no one touches their things without permission. Right? Consequently, through example, children do not touch the belongings of others without consent. Adults allow children the right to have their own ideas, their own possessions, their own play and work areas, as well as their own rights and respect. This goes back to self-love. We were talking at the beginning. Just because a child is not fully developed does not mean that their sacred space should not be respected. If a child learns the ideas of sacred space through example, the child will always respect the idea, belongings, homes, and bodies of others. So if a child learns it, they're going to bring it into their adulthood. This practice of teaching respect gives humans the understanding of how other life forms have their own sacred space and individual mission to accomplish in this earth walk. Okay, does this all feel like it's right on target with the chaos that's happened around you and your choice to move forward? Beautiful. A traditional medicine person would never cross a forest without asking permission from the chief standing person, a tree or a creature being that lived there, right? A tobacco offering could be made if the request was denied, and the decision would be honored by the person asking permission to enter, right? How conceited is it for two-leggeds to believe that humans are the only creatures, great mystery, created with their sacred space attached, right? This goes back to pollution, right? Are you frozen? I think you might be frozen. I may have lost you. So I'm going to keep reading for you. So hopefully it'll get in there and you'll be able to come back when you can. All of our plant, animal, stone, and cloud, and natural element counterparts here to serve as guardians for us until we wake up? Sometimes it seems so. If we could laugh at the joke without crying, we might make some progress in the areas of self-respect and respect of others. Defining our boundaries is important. For instance, if we have a house guest and we don't give the ground rules, We expect to be maintained in our home. We will certainly be angry if these unspoken rules are broken. The anger is usually at ourselves for not discussing the ground rules in the beginning. We have to discuss those ground rules in the beginning. The damage done to a child when his or her sacred space is invaded at an early age may require a lifelong healing process. This damage can be created through physical or emotional abuse, the destruction of belongings, the refusal to allow the child an opinion, favoritism of one child over another, not honoring that child's freedom of choice when selecting toys or clothing, or constant mother smothering. These instances teach a child through example that nobody is to be respected, and in turn that child might become self-destructive. When a child believes that his or her space and belongings and persona are not held in high regard by others, he or she often carries that legacy of abuse into future life situations. That's what we were talking about at the beginning, how the brain gets that information and holds on to that criticism, and it turns back into lack of self-love, right? Every inch of, I'm going to skip through and come to the end. Every inch of self-love, every inch of our Mother Earth is the home of one life form or another. We are guests in another space when we leave our own. We share air, food, soil, water, and sunlight with all living things. We have only one Mother Earth, and by her grace, we are given the guardianship of our sacred space during our earth walk. We must clean our personal sacred spaces in order to learn respect for others. The time is now, and the power is in understanding the validity of each life form's right to life. The sacred space card insists on respect for the possessions, ideas, homes, and persons of others. It also applies to demanding it for the self. Mark your territory. Respect yourself so that others will see that reflection in themselves and how they deal with you, and be willing to say no. Sacred space means that you consider your body, feelings, and possessions sacred and will not allow others to abuse them. Only invite those who have earned the right to your sacred space. You are the one who sets up how other people treat you through how you treat yourself. In all cases, the respect you show yourself and other life forms determines how you relate to the planetary family. Remember, the microcosm is the macrocosm. Macrocosm is the microcosm. If you allow others to be destructive in your sacred space, on some level, you're not having the guts to be disliked. It is not important to be liked by others, but it is important to be able to live with yourself. Happiness begins within. So that's the card we chose today. So let's go out on a conscious meditation. Let's find something today that we haven't seen before that's beautiful. Let's go look for something that's beautiful today. Maybe a bird flies, right? Maybe the way the clouds look in the sky. Maybe the way it feels when we breathe. That's a beautiful thing. You're having trouble breathing, relax your body, and even a little breath is a beautiful thing. There's a meditation teacher named Shinzen Young who I love, and he says, subtle is significant. I love that. A little breath, a moment of silence. Here's something I love. Listen to some beautiful music today, just for a minute, and know that it's a reflection of you. Look at the sky, a cloud, and know it's a reflection of you. Look at a flower and know it's a reflection of you. A tree, a dandelion, right? All these things that are so beautiful is a reflection of you. And that's your sacred space today. Thanks, Jemima. We're going to say goodbye because I can't hear you. Can you find, are you on mute?
You can hear me. I just got
Yeah.
on mute. I was saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry. And thank you, everyone. Yeah, amazing. Just enjoy your day. I'm a little gobsmacked. Thank you, Darcy,
Me
for
too.
your help and your support. And everybody, thank you so much for coming again. We'll see you again next week for who knows what. Who knows what?
For really a fun time. It's a party. You know, thank you, Jemima, so much for this. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Woohoo! It gets the algorithms going, guys. We get more people like us involved. Okay, peace out. Love you. Bye.